All right, guys, tacticalrab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to the Major One interview series. Today, I'm joined by Davpadie of the Florida
Yep.
Mutineers. It's a fantastic time. We're going to go through, well, a few different teams, see their perspectives ahead of the major. A lot is happening over these coming weeks, and the storylines going into this major have been some of the best I think we have seen in quite some time. Dave, how are you doing? Welcome to the league, first of all. And I believe this is going to be your, well, first major event this coming weekend. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's my first major, and this is also like one of my first interviews. So I'm really happy to start be doing these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just, well, congrats for securing a spot in the league. It's a very
Yeah,
challenging thing to do. I mean,
thank you.
it's pretty rare that, I mean, I was looking kind of through your COD Gamepedia, right? And, it seems like you've been playing these online tournaments since, I even saw like a Ghost one from 2017, but World War II
Yeah,
and onwards, kind of like end of World War
yep.
II, Black Ops 4, like Modern Warfare, Cold War. Like you kind of got your break on the Triumph team, I think, last year.
Modern Warfare.
And
Yeah.
Will it was over there as well. Yeah, Modern Warfare. Yeah, and like Will it was involved at a similar
Yep.
time, and then the relationships kind of carried through.
Yep.
Like, what's kind of the key lesson that you'd give players in your position or who were in your position trying to do a similar thing? Like, what's the key thing that you think that you had that helped you make this jump? Like, is it consistency? Is it versatility? Is it reliability? Or is it something completely different?
Well, yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that you're talking about for like challengers making pros, right?
Hmm.
Like you gotta have fun. Like you like. There was an instance like last year where I took like a month break. I don't know if you know about that. Like last year in Cold War, I won an elite stage and I took a break. I quit for a month, and because like honestly I was not having fun playing. I was not having fun getting on every day, and I knew I'm like, well, what am I doing to myself? Like right now I'm not getting paid. I'm doing this out of passion. Like I don't know for sure if I'm gonna make the league. Like if you're trying to grind and make it, you have to have fun doing it, or you're just gonna be miserable. And when you're not having fun, you're not playing as good as you normally would. I think like the biggest thing is make sure you're having fun, make sure you're doing what makes you happy, not forcing yourself to grind, not forcing yourself to play with a certain team that you don't like. Like have fun, make sure you're enjoying it.
That's actually such a good lesson, I think, just for things in general. Like it's interesting how much that echoes into like content creation and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people want to become streamers or they want to become YouTubers or something, and that they think they can just like crack on with it and then just immediately make money. And it's just not how it works. Like these things take time, and if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to be there when it's time to reap the rewards, right? So I guess that's
Yeah.
it's the same thing you experienced. Okay, so the decision when you came into Florida, it was certainly an interesting one. It was questioned a fair bit, right, due to the prevalence of the AR players on the team already. It seems to have worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah.
One thing that many have praised you for is the communication that you bring to this team. That I think we hear in a lot of the listenings. It was something that Neptune said last year after he left the team, went to New York, that like he wasn't happy with the way the communication was last year. So is that something you feel like you've helped with?
100%. And that was like one of the main reasons why I was brought on. I feel like because I feel like the manager knew going into this season that communication was an issue last year. So he probably looked in through challengers, tried to find one of the best communicators, which happened to be me, and then that's what I try bringing to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, how does it work in people talk a lot about small talk and they talk about the other elements of communication. Like, what do you think, I guess, when you joined, you feel like was lacking? Because people talk about, like, okay, is it about I spawn up, I say I've spawned here, therefore that means they might spawn there. But like, there's so much nuance to communication, right? It's such a fascinating thing to me because it's like, let's say I get a kill, but it's not particularly important. I might say it, but I might not say it particularly loud. Whereas if I spawn out and I've got a potential pinch on a hard point, I'm going to make that very well known. Like, and you've got to have different, I
Yeah.
guess, vocal tones for what you say that your teammates know in the heat of battle, what's important and what's just talk. So I don't know. It's pretty fascinating, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, well let's crack on. If there's one thing that a lot of people say about this roster, I'm sure you'll know this already, is the inconsistencies in the team, right?
Yeah.
One week, one day you're getting 3-0'd by Ultra with a sub, and then the next day, albeit close maps in that series, and then
Yeah.
ridiculously close maps, probably the closest 3-0 there's ever been, to be honest. And then you 3-0 Seattle just a couple of days later, going game 5 with LA Thieves. Like your team to me has always seemed a bit of an enigma. It was the same last year that like I kind
Yeah.
of want to predict this team over that team, but I never know who to predict because even if any top team is playing you guys, it feels like there's always the potential you just come out hot and take them down. But of course, you guys have never been in that conversation of like, oh, it's a top team taking down another top team. So like, do you have an idea of, like what might be causing these inconsistencies? Is it something that's been discussed within the team, like are the coaching staff trying to figure it out, like how you can go from win 3 series in a row, for example, in the losers bracket here, 3-4 series? That's going to be tough on current evidence.
Yeah. Well, I do think that the public kind of gasses it, to be honest. Like, we are inconsistent and we all know it, but like not like crazy. We're like, I don't know if they're gonna lose to Paris or beat FaZe today. Like it's not. I don't feel like not that crazy, but there definitely is inconsistency. I feel like a lot of teams have it, but maybe ours is stronger. And I do think the main reason why is because of our play style, where we kind of rely on winning gunfights and like we take a lot of chows, and sort of our success relies on winning those chows where I do like, we all try to implement some teamwork, but I think maybe us more than some teams rely on winning like solo gunfights. And the way those gunfights go, like kind of determines the match, and that's why the inconsistencies start.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, I guess. I mean, is it like a some people were suggesting it's like a warm-up thing or like when you guys are getting
That's
ready
what I
for your
said.
game? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I think that makes a fair bit of sense.
Yeah, what you call it? After we beat Seattle, I did like the interview, the post-match interview, and
Mm.
also Nameless asked a similar question, saying like, what's up with the inconsistencies? Why you guys like this? And I did say like it's the day. This like also has to do with the day of, where like the day of the game, like what you eat for breakfast, how early you wake up, how many bots you shoot, like because it all matters because like what I was saying, our inconsistencies start from like how on point we are on that day. If we're winning our gunfights, if we're shooting good, if we're shooting better than them. Like like the big reason for the consistency is like if we're winning our gunfights pretty much, and also it starts from like how you feel in that day.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's all sorts of stuff in like sports psychology and the way that athletes prepare and stuff that would be very interesting there, like to just perform incredibly consistent. So next stage, like looking ahead of this major before we get into it, you've got a pretty tough run. You guys play Los Angeles Grillers, New York Subliners, Optic, FaZe, and Boston. So it's not the easiest. It might, maybe it could be harder, but it's pretty tough. Now, what's your perspective on these kind of pre-selected matches in general? Because New York might not be great now. They might be very good when you guys play them.
Yeah.
It's also possible that because you guys were considered a lower seed coming into the season, you therefore got a harder schedule on average. It should balance out, but inherently it won't balance out
Yep.
because teams will get better and worse. So it's interesting because last year we didn't have pre-scheduled matches until the major finished, and then the teams kind of decided who went into what pool. Now we know what's happening all the way until the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't play last year, so I didn't know like how the old way like was, but all my teammates say they like this way better. And I mean, I'm fine with the way it is now, honestly. Like that's how it is in like major sports. I know esports is different, but in major sports, everything's predetermined. Like week 1 in the NFL, a team might be bad, but then in week 10 they might be really good. Like, I just think it's just how it is. Like we should be good enough to beat any team. Like, I'm not too concerned about that. I'm not dwelling over that.
I like that mindset, to be honest. I think that that's like you have to say, look, we've got our schedule. We just have to go 3-2. We get into winners. So I mean,
Yep.
it's a good mindset. Beat in front of you. So let's talk about this major. This weekend you guys will either play the loser of FaZe or Boston in round one. So you'd think Boston, because you guys have the best seed, it gives you guys the best theoretical matchup if the teams that lose are the teams that are expected to lose, because who knows what happens in that round one. How are you preparing for this game against Boston? They're an interesting team. Their search and destroy has been pretty solid. Their control's been up and down. Another team where, especially the rookies on that squad, seem somewhat inconsistent. So, don't know. You feeling confident for that one?
I
That'd
mean,
be
obviously
that'd be FaZe.
we could be playing FaZe, but well, like assuming we play Boston, yeah. I mean, I think even if we play FaZe, we can bring our best shot and even take them down, especially if they're coming off a loss. I think either team coming off a loss, and we're gonna be bringing our fire, bringing what we prepared, and they don't know because we didn't play a match. They're not gonna see what we have in store. So I think either way, we're gonna be looking really good for that match.
That's good to hear. So, is there any particular team that you're interested, like kind of want to play against this weekend? You know, is there any particular player, any particular team that you're like, if we take him down, I'm a happy man? Or is it just let's take down a team
Everyone.
in the grand finals?
Yeah, everyone. I feel like I'm looking forward to playing, all the teams, it's my first major, playing on stage. I mean, playing optic will be pretty crazy with the whole crowd, because that's when the most eyes are going to be on you. So that's going to be a pretty wild match. That's going to be one to like, you got to prepare for. But besides that, like I'm ready to play every team.
In fairness, Optic, I think, played Florida a fair bit in losers last year. I feel like they always beat Florida in losers last year. I don't know. I think there was
Yeah.
at least 2 or 3 times that was a game. Um, but like, yeah, like if you are in that spot, how do you feel like you'd react in that situation? Because it's probably a unique one for a lot of players to be on main stage in front of the full might of the green wall in Texas at their home event, effectively. Do you think would that game feel different for you as a player? Or do you think the pressure will get the better out of you if that matchup was to occur?
Well, I think that it definitely will feel different, especially for me, because I've never played in front of a huge crowd. I went to one LAN, and then obviously the pandemic happened. So like if I did, like when I've played in front of like a lot of people, it definitely will feel different. But I don't think the pressure will be on. I mean, once you're playing on that stage, like it's pretty easy to tune them out, especially with like the white noise headsets. It's really easy to tune out the crowd. But like going into the match, like I would feel like, all right, this is my time to like a lot of eyes are on me, a lot of people are me watching. It's gonna be a wild one.
Exciting, man. So, final question. What, from your perspective, would be a good or an acceptable result at this event? Of course, you'd love to win, but realistically, from the losers bracket, it's going to be tough. Kind of what's your thought about that? Because obviously, going up first round, that's not great. But where do you think you'd like to get to in this tournament to come home and say, look, we did a solid job. We've got a good foundation to build on for the future stages?
I believe it's top 6, because I like the bet, like a thing I'll be content with if we win 2 losers rounds, which would be like we'll beat, let's say, Boston, and then round 2 we would play the winner of Seattle versus Paris or Optic versus Paris, and then if we beat the winner of that, like assuming that it's Seattle or Optic that win that, and we beat that, like beat Seattle or Optic depending who goes there. I think that if we beat them, I'll be content, like because those 2 teams are considered 2 of the top teams, and if we can show out and beat them, then I feel like we can prove to ourselves that, well, given the opportunity, we can beat these good teams. Because if we beat that team and then lose next round, like we just gotta understand, like, hey, we're in losers. It's really hard to like beat 2, 3 teams and 2, 3 really good teams in a row, unless we start really having some strong momentum. So like top 6, I think would be a good starting base. Especially that we started from losers. So top 6.
I think that's very reasonable. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have any final words to say for the Florida fans cheering you on this weekend?
Don't be surprised if we start making a run. I mean, like I said, we have a lot of things in store. Practice has been looking good, but even then, the season's still bright. Like starting from losers, we might not bring it home, but I think eventually we will this year.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you very much again. Thanks all for watching at home. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.